evening, Mr. and Ms. Internet, and all our ships at sea. Back from a little hiatus here. I'm blowing through all of my high-speed data allotment on my phone plan. Fortunately, we are now in the 21st century, so high-speed data is now unlimited again on all four of the major, all the four big wireless carriers in the United States. So here I am with what is essentially unlimited data now. Yay! So, you know, honestly, I wasn't expecting to have a show today. I wasn't expecting everything to kick in today. So I really did not do any hard and fast show notes. So you know, we're just kind of winging it today, as the former title of my blog, former current whatever title of my blog. I am phasing out the winging it branding, simply because that apparently there is a BBC Kids show called Winging It that I did not know about, and I would rather not try to associate myself via branding that way. So really, you know, everything that you're going to see now is going to be branded Airborne Surfer or airbornesurfer.com. You know, of course, there'll be sub-brands within that, such as the Freeway Forum here. Here we are, the Freeway Forum. I need a theme song, and I don't have one. That's not gonna be it either. Anyway, so we're just sort of winging it. I don't really have notes. I have my old notes from like last week, but everything has just changed so much, and I've gone through most of that stuff. So really, there's not a lot new today. Of course, there are new developments. Of course, there are. For example, Jeff Sessions apparently has Russian ties as well. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because as a congressman, he was not, he was not outside of his duty in having relations with Russian officials. However, he did perjure himself, allegedly did perjure himself, by lying to Congress about it, or misrepresenting it to Congress. I'm not entirely certain how you want to really play that. Of course, you know, the right is playing it down, the left is playing it up. It's probably somewhere in the middle. But on perjury is really that's a hard line in the sand right there. That is a line in the sand. You're either it's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You're not just somewhat pregnant. So you either perjure or you don't perjure. You don't just somewhat perjure. Either you misrepresent the truth, you misrepresent fact, or you don't. And that's sort of the way I look at it. And I would say, in all fairness, he should be impeached. You know, impeachment proceedings should be brought forward. Not that he should be impeached, which would mean that he is found guilty of a crime of perjury. But they should definitely bring that forward and say, yeah, you know what? If you're gonna lie in front of Congress, you're gonna have to pay for it. And they did that with Bill Clinton. Why not? Absolutely. So that's sort of my take on the whole Jeff Sessions. It is interesting to see how many close ties with Russia, you know, these seemingly innocuous cabinet positions have. It really begins to kind of make you wonder. And I think that's the whole point of the narrative from the news side of it. It's to make you kind of doubt the legitimacy of this administration. Some are now calling it a regime. I don't really think it's a regime so much as it is an administration, so sort of, in the loosest sense of the term. Yeah, you know, it's, I don't know. All we can do is sit back, watch, and hold their feet to the fire, and just, you know, when they do well, we acknowledge that. When they don't do well, when they do poorly, when they choose unwisely, when they choose poorly, then we must hold their feet to the fire. We burn the shit out of them. So, oh gosh, what else is new? So the Nintendo Switch is out today, or yesterday, or whatever. The Nintendo Switch is out. Now that looks entertaining. I wish I could afford a Switch. I wish I had time to play one. Because the new Legend of Zelda game does look fantastic. It looks phenomenal. 1-2 Switch does not really interest me very much. And the new little controllers, yeah, they're kind of cool, but and I've noticed other critics saying this as well, and I have to reiterate those sympathies that the controllers are very expensive for a controller, and they have a lot of bells and whistles in them, and they really need to take advantage of those bells and whistles for just about every game. And if they don't, then it's going to feel like a waste. It's really going to feel like a waste. You know, with the Wii, it did feel like a lot of games did not take advantage of the control mechanism, the control scheme, the features in the controller. But those games that did, they were unique and interesting, and there was an interesting mechanic to them. I feel like the Switch is going to be, I feel like it's probably going to be mildly successful. It's probably going to be on par with the 3DS. Overall, you know, and of course that is assuming that Nintendo does maintain the hype for the Switch, which they may or may not do. I mean, they've got kind of a paced schedule of releases, which I guess is better than releasing them all up front. You know, and it's interesting that they're leading with the Legend of Zelda title and not with the Mario title, which is that's not necessarily their MO. They've always kind of led with the flagship Mario title, but this will be interesting nonetheless. So Breath of the Wild looks phenomenal. I've seen some gameplay footage of it. It does look amazing, and from what I understand, it is a throwback very much to the early days of Zelda, in that open world sort of exploratory format where you don't necessarily have to go through everything, and there's a big focus on exploration. There's a big focus on more dungeon crawling and getting through than there is, and of course a big focus on puzzles than there have been in recent games. So that'll be interesting. The last Zelda game I did complete was Wind Waker. And I was not a fan of Wind Waker. Like, it was okay, but it just got tedious. It just got very tedious. The grinding, the level grinding, and it just didn't keep the same fun as some of the earlier titles. Didn't keep the same pace going. It just seemed, the dungeons seemed very simple, very easy. There wasn't much of a difficulty curve to it. And it was just fetch quest, fetch quest, fetch quest. That's all it ever was. So I was not a fan of Wind Waker. I have yet to play any of the newer games. Really, Wind Waker, other than the first 3 Zelda games, Wind Waker is about the only other Zelda game I've played. Sadly. I love the shit out of the first 3. Absolutely love those first 3 Zelda games. And they hold a very special place place in my heart, my gaming history. But I just, I just had other things I had to do. So, I never had an N64. I still don't have an N64. I'll be changing that at some point, especially as I start to get into playing games more, getting back into playing games. I'm actually looking at playing games as a project. I look at each game as a project now, and so I have so many games to play, and then playing through those games, completing those games will be, I would look at that as a project, each one, and I'll probably be documenting them. I'm certainly looking towards documenting the gameplay in either a Let's Play or in a review sort of capacity, or maybe both. I may do a Let's Play, and then I might go take that gameplay footage from the Let's Play and put together a review. I don't know yet. I haven't quite got there yet. But I've got a lot to play, and I got a lot to look forward to. So, what else is new exciting? New and exciting. I don't know, man. I'm just tired. Work just makes me tired. My regular job just makes me absolutely flat out tired. I deal with a lot. I deal with a lot of sort of irritation, I guess you could say, work. It's not like I go in and I do a job and I get paid for it. I jump through so many hoops to do what I do, and it just doesn't feel like it. It's fulfilling at the end of the day, and that's unfortunate because when I started this job, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed the freedom to do what I did, the way I did it. And as that job has gone along, I felt more and more constrained by it. And maybe this is just my payday angst talking, because I feel like with this there's new state law, new federal law that sets overtime wages or overtime rates, overtime exemption status at whatever multiple, like 12 times the minimum wage or something like that. I forget what it is. But the way that's set up is that now suddenly I am no longer an overtime exempt employee, which is understandable and fine. It helps me, but in theory. But in implementation, what has happened is now I have been demoted to an hourly employee. And as an hourly employee, I don't make the same money that I did. Because now I'm working on an hourly basis, and there's not always the same amount of hours in the pay period. And it doesn't even out. It doesn't even out the way it should. And thus it fucks over completely screws up my budgeting. It completely screws up the way to planning, and I can't. It's hard to plan for anything. It's hard to plan for any kind of expenses. It's very, very difficult. I mean, this past pay period, I was paid $200 less than I normally get. $200. That's quite a bit. And it's not a matter of. It's not a matter of, oh, I don't have the money to cover this, or it's just going to affect my bills. That's beside the point. The point is that when you are used to making a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time, or calendar time or whatnot, you become sort of reliant on that sort of a schedule. And to change that, especially something that drastic, especially to something that drastic, it's just brutal for the morale. And my company's good about it. they do take care of me, and yeah, I have to remember that they do take care of me. It's a good company to work for. There are a lot of irritations, quite a lot of irritations at this company, but it is a good company to work for, and you know, and I do. I could be doing worse. I could be doing a lot worse. So, yeah. Hey, look, it's the Ducks truck. So we're heading out to the Honda Center, the Honda. Out of their market, I guess. I mean, we're in Long Beach, yeah, and you know that's something I've noticed with the Ducks. That's something here. You know, speaking of gripes and irritations, I've noticed that the Ducks tend to concentrate more on South County, and that sort of bugs me because I'm like, you know, there's a whole other half of the county here that you're sort of ignoring. You know, they do lots of stuff down in Costa Mesa. They do lots of stuff in Irvine. They do lots of stuff. Well, yeah, in Costa Mesa and Irvine, Tustin, Anaheim, of course, because that's where they're based. But there's never anything like Fullerton, Orange. Well, there's some stuff in Orange. There's some in Orange. Fullerton, Santa Ana, La Palma, Buena Park. Come on, guys. You don't have to come to La Palma. I mean, La Palma's like this big, but Buena Park. You know, you don't have to cozy up to South County all the time. That sort of high, whatever you want to call it. That sort of balkanization, if you will, gerrymandering of your fans. You know, there are Anaheim fans in Long Beach. There are Anaheim fans in Anaheim. There are Anaheim fans in Buena Park and Cerritos. Basically anybody who doesn't like LA, which is pretty much everybody surrounding LA. So you know, you have a pretty decent fan base in LA County and the surrounding areas. So, you know, why not? Why not take advantage of that? Absolutely. You know, don't just concentrate on San Luis Obispo, or San Juan Capistrano. What the hell am I thinking? San Luis Obispo is way the fuck up there. That's a pass from Santa Barbara. There's no hockey team there, not that I know of. Anyway, yeah, your San Juan Capistranos and your Anaheim, your Irvines and your Costa Mesas and your Newports, and yeah, I know all the players live in Newport. They don't want to like go too far from home. Blah 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 blah. Wine. You paid multi-million dollars to play a freaking game. You can go out and rub elbows with your fans every once in a while, especially the fans up here in the middle class areas. I mean, hell, it's all fucking middle class. Jesus. I don't know. That's my regionalism coming out. That's me growing up in a balkanized area. Cobb County, Georgia is very much well, it was at one time anyway, very much a balkanized sort of area, very, very regionalist, where, you know, East Cobb, there's the East Cobb versus West Cobb, you know, the East Cobb snob, that kind of stuff. North Cobb versus the rest of Cobb County, you know, the North Cobb rednecks and, you know, the South Cobb ghettos, and, you know, that kind of. It was just, you know, you had to live there. It was something that was very much part of the culture in that county, and it's sort of like that in Orange County a little bit, to an extent. It's, you know, it's my aphorism is that I don't have much use for anything past the 55. I really don't. That's South County at that point. That's getting you cross the 55 and you're in Irvine. Even Micro Center is on my side of the 55. So actually, is it? No, it's not. It's not. Micro Center is on the other side of the 55. Just barely. So I guess I really have to say I don't have use for much past the 55 instead of I don't have much use for anything past the 55. Slightly different semantically. There's a Boomers down in Irvine too. That Boomers is all right. They got a pretty decent little arcade. It gets brutally packed though. That's like the only place around down there. It's like, oh, come on. These poor bastards that live in South County, they don't have anything to do. It's all suburban wasteland. Kind of like the Valley, like Valencia up in that way. Well, I mean, Valencia has Six Flags, and there's things in Valencia that, as far as I'm aware, there are things in Valencia, but I'm not sure. Oh, damn, I'm tired. There are things in Valencia, but I mean, hell, I don't know. I don't live up there. I don't ever go up there except to go to Six Flags. So that's suburban wasteland, and it's interesting. I moved to California to get away somewhat from suburban wasteland because my little section of Cobb really is kind of that. It's you're kind of distant from a lot of things. There's a good bit of distance there between places, but at the same time, it's like where I live, it's a suburb, but there's something different about the suburbs here. They're far more developed, at least where I haunt. All my haunts are in fairly developed areas, or much more developed areas, I should say, than places I'm used to being, and places I grew up, where you've got like 3 options that are nearby, and that's it. I have a lot of options nearby. It's nice, and everything else is pretty close, generally speaking. If there's not something in your town immediately, it's very easy to get to the next town. Like, it's not far. If there's nothing in your neighborhood, if there's nothing you want in your neighborhood, you don't have to go very far to get to another neighborhood with different things. At least that's the way I look at it. And I think that's what I don't like about South County. Is South County is very much built on that hub and spoke system, like Cobb County is, and Metro Atlanta in general is built on, where it's not you drive, you take the surface roads, you take the secondary feeder roads into the central kind of commercial area, and then from there you can get to the freeway to get to anywhere else, and everything has to go through the freeway. Where I am up here in North Orange County, South LA County, this little the gateway area, not quite South Bay, but South Bay is really accessible. But you can, your neighborhoods are lined up. They're just neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. They're all kind of near each other. It's kind of nice. Everything's sort of a nice little mosaic and patchwork. And then if you want to get anywhere, doing that is fairly easy as well, because you have a system of you're pretty much all arterial roads, you're pretty much all feeder roads, main thoroughfares. So you've got several different ways to get anywhere, and that's kind of a nice it's a nice structure, and that's one thing that I really fell in love with when I first came out here and kind of learned how they designed everything out here, and planned everything out here. It's really nice, and I'm weird like that. I'm really weird like that. I do like that kind of urban planning where everything is planned to be not too far and for easy to get to and stuff like that. The hub and spoke system has its merits, especially if you prefer a more rural environment or a less developed environment. It doesn't have to be rural, it can be just less developed. The hub and spoke is kind of nice, but the hub and spoke really has major tactical disadvantages when you're trying to commute. Commuting is a nightmare in a hub and spoke system. I mean, commuting is a nightmare anyway, just because there's so many cars, and the way that individuals drive varies so much that you can run into problems. And that's usually what happens with traffic, is you just have people that are acting, they're trying to be as selfish as possible, and thus screwing it up for everybody, including themselves. But if you back off just a little bit, if you don't try to act quite as efficient, so you maintain, what might be perceived as less efficient, instead of riding tailgate behind somebody, immediately behind somebody like this guy in front of me, instead of doing that, if you leave a buffer, leave a berth, that way if anything weird happens, then everything, it's not a chain reaction, everything behind you doesn't just shut down. You leave at least a car length, 2 car lengths between each car during, depending on your speed limit. If you leave that much space between each vehicle, then you have more space to react, you have more space, and you don't close in, and you don't create the traffic jams. Which is why I'm very much in favor of effective public transit. I feel like effective public transit, and I've been in places that have effective public transit. New York is a great example of effective public transit. Now, the New York system does have its flaws in that it is not prolific. It goes everywhere that I've wanted it to go, but it doesn't go everywhere. It's also not it's a point-to-point system, not a hub and spoke, which it just depends. It depends on your layout, what works. But regardless, an effective transit system, especially on a hub and spoke system, an effective public transit is essential. And you have small commutes, very short commutes to a central feeder position, and then those feeders, then get on a train or a bus or whatever. I like trains because I like trains. That's why they call me Choo Choo. But you get on a train and you take that into the larger hub. You go from the small hub or the intermediate hub to the main hub, and it works. And then you can go from there, and you have the final mile problem, which is being solved. It's in the process of being solved, like bike shares and ride shares and Ubers and Lyfts and what have you, taxis and all that kind of stuff. Solves the final mile problem. And I'll be ecstatic. I'll be really ecstatic when the LA and OC system really gets built out better. The Expo line is running now.